Hi everyone, welcome back to Coffee Books and Rain. I'm Rachel, and actually without coffee today because as I went to publish this episode, I realized I had not yet recorded it. So I had to come on here and record it real quick so I could drop it when I had planned to, when I had scheduled to. So let us dive straight in to A Magic, Deep and Drowning by Hester Fox. Now, I had read a previous book by Hester Fox, and I think it was The Last Heir to Blackwood Library, which had a little bit of spooky ghost vibes, and I really enjoyed that particular book. It was really well done in my personal opinion. I think I gave it a pretty solid 4 stars, and I actually give this one about the same. I give it a pretty solid 4 stars. But let's dive into the summary before we start talking about my thoughts. Set in the waning days of the Dutch Golden Age, this enchanting, lush reimagining of The Little Mermaid is perfect for fans of Jessie Burton's The Miniaturist and Leigh Bardugo's The Familiar. The Dutch Republic, 1650. One fine spring day in Friesland, 20-year-old Clara I think I said it was Viren. I think it was Viren. It might be Wyven. Anyway, Clara is faced with an ill omen, a whale beached and rotting in the noonday sun. But Clara doesn't believe in magic and superstition, and this portent is quickly dismissed when a proposal from a wealthy merchant arrives, promising Clara the freedom she seeks from her mother's overbearing rule. When her attempts at overseeing the household at the family's estate leads to her chance encounter with a young man with russet hair and sparkling eyes, the color of the sea, she finds herself strangely drawn to him, and Clara grows closer to Moritz. As Clara grows closer to Moritz, she must choose between the steady, gentle life she's been raised for and the man who makes her blood sing. But Moritz isn't who he seems to be, and his secret, once hidden beneath the waves, threatens to rise up and drown them both. And when an ancient bargain, forged in blood, between the mythical people of the sea and the rulers of the land begin to unravel, Clara finds herself at the heart of a deadly struggle for power. Now, I didn't realize it was a retelling or a reimagining when I first picked this up, so I was kind of pleasantly surprised by that. I could kind of tell based on the title that we were probably going to have mermaids or sirens of some kind, but I wasn't certain in what way. I love to pick up books kind of either just based on cover art or kind of a little bit of a blurb. And I don't even know if I think I picked it up based on Hester Fox's name, but I don't think I read the blurb for this because I trusted that Hester Fox had already given me a pretty good book. So I figured she would do it again. And again, I was pleasantly surprised. Now, it seems to fall in historical fiction. I think, again, fiction, encapsulated in a time that really did happen, which I guess is the Dutch Golden Age. I don't know much about that time. Sadly, American history does not really encapsulate much of world history the way it really should to tell us about world events in a proper way. So I would love to know more about it, and I should probably look it up. It is considered a retelling, and I would even say reimagining, fantasy, historical, and a little bit of romance. It's about 350 pages, and it was first published June 24th of 2025. So that's why I wanted to get this book recorded, because I thought I had already recorded this one, like a little while ago, because I know I read this book in about a day. I think on my e-reader, it was about maybe 288-ish pages, and I know I flew through it. So anyway, catching up on myself to get it done, just so I can get it out to you guys. But we start out with Clara, who she has a a kind of, I guess this lady, she's been her nursemaid, who's been her she's kind of her handmaid, her lady's maid. Clara is 20, about to be 21, so she's of marrying age. And she lives a fairly cushy, I would even almost say spoiled life. Now, the one thing is she really doesn't think her parents love her all that much. They seem always very distracted. They don't really do a lot with her or talk to her in any really kind way. Her mother seems very stern, and so she kind of likes when her father puts her mother in her place. And I want to say her mother's name is Katrina. Well, anyway, it seems up until this point when the book opens that Clara has been a fairly dutiful daughter. She hasn't really stepped a toe out of line. She's just kind of been a kept daughter. And so comes time that her and her kind of maid, lady's maid, I guess you could say, they go out into the city. They're just kind of taking a walk, and they run across this whale who I suppose has been I suppose has been harpooned, or a whaler ship has harpooned it, and it's now on the beach. Well, of course, Clara's a bit sad by it, and I want to say that Helma, the lady's maid, kind of says it's an ill omen, and so that thing Clara, she's like, oh, no, you kind of think everything's an ill omen. So anyway, on that particular day, or maybe the day after, anyway, I guess it really doesn't matter too much. Her father calls her into the study and says, hey, oh, by the way, we have found a good match for you. He is like, this merchant, and he's prosperous and all this sort of stuff. So, it'll be a good match. And I was like, and she was perfectly fine with it. She's like, oh, okay. And so she gets it in her head that this is going to be fine. Everything's going to be fine. She'll have her own household. This is what she wants. Like, she is perfectly content with this. So she gets it in her head at this particular point that she is going to start learning various aspects of the household. And I'm not telling you anything that's a spoiler at this particular point, because this is really laying some of the groundwork at the very beginning of the book. But Clara decides to kind of, help out in the kitchen. What does it mean to make bread? So she's in the kitchen trying to make bread, and she's not doing a great job. So the actual cook, has to step out and do something, and this guy comes up, and it seems as though, I guess, in the Dutch, maybe in this particular area, people on little ships can pull up pretty close to the house, if not like right up to the kitchen, and hand over like crates of herring or what have you. And so Clara, like, the guy comes up and kind of mistakes Clara as like a housemaid or what have you, and Clara's not too insulted. She's kind of like, oh, maybe I can kind of get away with being a housemaid. She kind of likes pretending to be in that role. But anyway, Helma comes in, her lady's maid comes in, and he's like, this girl doesn't pick up anything heavier than a Bible. But something about that interaction with that particular guy kind of sticks with Clara. So she ends up running into him again, and there's still something about this guy. And so he ends up calling himself Moritz. Now, I may be pronouncing it. I did not have the audiobook for this, so I may be pronouncing some of these names incorrectly. I do apologize. So I was kind of pronouncing them the way I kind of read them. She's pretty practical. Again, she's ready to settle into her kind of life up until this point. And then there's something about this guy who kind of, like, I don't know, piques her interest. But she's been like, she's not yet met her soon to be husband, but he's handsome, he's intriguing, like, she's drawn to him. Anyway, so she meets her soon-to-be husband. He's not bad. I don't think he's Moritz, but he's not bad. But she starts to find out little things about the soon-to-be husband of hers that One, he's a whaler, and that kind of makes her upset. And then there's one particular encounter with her and her soon-to-be husband that she kind of snaps at him, and she kind of like in front of her father, kind of like, and I think it's in front of her father, and if not, then I'm misremembering the scene. But she just kind of like lets him have it on what she really thinks of, like, you are just marrying me for my dowry, you are not marrying me for love. And he is just sitting there like so coward and so cowed because he had brought her this necklace, and he was really thinking like, okay, well, at least we make a good match and maybe we can make this work. And she just literally lays into him. So that was a pretty like hard scene to read. Well, we do start to get some inklings, like Clara and Moritz, they kind of meet a little bit in secret. Now, nothing untoward, but she does kiss him a little bit, and so she's kind of like, well, she kind of wants to have a little fun before she gets married. Nothing too extreme, just kind of like, just a little bit, just a little dalliance, but like, nothing egregious. However, her mother finds out, and then Helma gets fired, and then the marriage is like, it's not on the line, because we're definitely not telling this wealthy merchant that we were seen out with someone else. We're not doing that, absolutely not. But something happens on the day of the wedding, and that's when things kind of go south. And that's really when I realized that we were dealing with a Little Mermaid retelling. I don't think it was up until maybe about 30 to 40% of the way into the book that I really understood the implications of that, and I liked that. Because again, I didn't walk into this book knowing that was kind of an aspect of it. I kind of got little hints. And then there's some interstitial chapters that are very short, and I would say like 3 or 4 sentences. They kind of give you little hints towards Dutch folklore, of like merfolks and gnomes and nixes and various, and I think moss women, like, that are trees, various things like that. Don't want to give you too many spoilers, so I'm going to kind of like be vague about what happens after the wedding. Just going to say the wedding does happen. Oh no, she does marry this guy that she was betrothed to or arranged to, but I'm not going to spoil anything more than that. You are more than welcome to find out for yourself. Now, I liked this book. I do probably give it a 4.25 stars. I had a good time with it because I walked into it with no real expectations other than the fact that I had read Hester Fox before, and I enjoy her writing style. I like that the characters are fairly likable. I think Claire is a bit naive, but I would assume that probably spoiled well-to-do girls of this particular age and time period would be naive. I mean, they would have probably lived a fairly sheltered life. I liked how the story played out, with Moritz and his siblings and his mother. And again, I'm not going to go into too many spoilers regarding that. But the overall plot behind it was well crafted, and I thought that the build up for that. Okay, so I will say about 50% of the way into the book was when we really kind of see some of the plot start to really shift, and that does surround Moritz and I would say the underwater kingdom. And I don't think that's a spoiler if you kind of understand my meaning. Just gonna say, but I think everything regarding that particular aspect happened so very fast without just a lot of buildup. So maybe that didn't quite work well. I think I was really kind of blindsided by a lot of that we were 50% in, that we never saw a lot of that coming, and now we have to unravel all of the stuff that's kind of happened. You definitely start seeing that Little Mermaid thing, aka missing voices, putting that out there so you can kind of understand too. But Moritz is a pretty cool character. Should he have been a little more open from the beginning? Sure. Is there a dog involved? Absolutely. Its name is Pim. Again, I'm not going to go into any details regarding that either. But overall, I like it. It's fun. It's cute. Again, I'm not the biggest romance person, romancy reader, but in this particular way, this is the way I like to consume it. In a fairy tale like setting where we've got some other things going on and it's not spicy, it's not overwhelming, and yeah, well written. I'm not, we don't have, Clara does accidentally almost drown herself, maybe once or twice. She's a strong-willed girl, and I get it, but I think that some of that's her naivety and some of that's her trying to stand on her own. But anyway, okay, I'm going to go ahead and kind of wrap it up here because I don't want to spoil more of it. I don't think I'm spoiling anything of it, but I'm going to go ahead and let you guys go. I hope you will give it a chance if it sounds like something that you might be interested in. But with all of that being said, I want to thank you so much for tuning in. If you have not liked and subscribed already, I hope you will. Thank you for joining me on this journey. I will see you all on the next page.